Hello and welcome once again to Talking Pictures Podcast. I'm your host David and joined with me, as always, my co-host Brian. Brian, how are you today?
You know me and you are 8 years younger than The Simpsons.
8 years younger than the Simpsons. I thought you were going to say that we've known each other 8 years. I was like, is it only? Yeah, we've known each other 8 years and we're only 8 years younger than The Simpsons. I haven't watched The Simpsons in a long time. So what was the 8th season of The Simpsons? What was coming out when we were born? What kind of episodes?
I don't know. I just looked this up and I saved it as my starter.
Okay.
Oh, well, you're not supposed to...
I'm going to look it up while you're doing the trailer of the week first.
Okay. I've already got my trailer of the week.
Go for it then. Yeah,
oh, right.
Go.
Right. Did you see that new Star Wars Skeleton Crew
I did.
trailer?
I watched it against my better judgment. I said to myself, I'm already going to watch this show. I don't really need to see this. But then I watched it anyway. And it didn't do anything for my excitement, but it in either way. It didn't make me more excited, but it didn't make me less excited. You know, it was like, okay, that's what I expected it to be, you know?
Okay. That's what you expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought the same thing. I knew, we all knew, if we follow it, it's going to be a type of show with a feel of The Goonies, E.T., maybe for something to compare in contemporary society, Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting and welcoming idea to introduce. It's a welcoming tone to introduce in a Star Wars property.
Mm-hmm.
And I not only dug it, I'm very excited for it. As someone who did not like The Acolyte, as someone who's not overly fond with most of the Star Wars TV series, that's not Andor or the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm. Or Ahsoka.
Ahsoka's in the middle.
Yeah. Well, I love Ahsoka, so I'm going to give it praise.
You love Ahsoka, that's fine, that's great, but I don't think it's the Infinity War endgame to the Star Wars TV content. Like, I think it has its fans as a result of the Clone Wars stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Well, more Rebels. Yeah, Clone Wars and Rebels.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Because I didn't watch those stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But and to me, Andor is the best. Mm-hmm. So I was very disappointed with The Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, even though it's John Watts, the girl who did Russian Doll, did Acolyte. So why should I be excited for a no-name creative doing a Star Wars property when the last no-name creative who's not working in the executive group, like the girl who did the Obi-Wan show, or Dave Filoni, or Jon Favreau, or Robert Rodriguez, who did Book of Boba Fett? Yeah. But the trailer got me. And we spoke recently about trailers having songs. And I said one time, a Bruce Springsteen song wouldn't work in like a Star Wars, because I don't think that song in that Gladiator trailer worked. But here we have a song, a famous 80s song in this trailer, but it's using alien language. And so I thought that was a creative way to make a fit. It was the Major Tom song in brackets Coming
I'm going to have
Home.
to rewatch this, because I had initially... The reason why I watched the trailer was because someone said that Major Tom was in it. And I went into it fully like waiting for the Major Tom thing to start. And I just never picked up on it.
You're talking about the David Bowie song?
Yeah.
Oh, no, not that.
Oh, is it not?
That's Mission to Mars.
Oh, this is Major Tom.
No,
it's a different song altogether.
Oh, yeah.
No wonder I didn't recognize it then.
The artist was Peter Schilling.
No, never heard it at all. I'll have to listen to it and then rewatch the thing. I was expecting the David Bowie song.
Yeah, no, I don't think the David Bowie song would fit into this. No. David Bowie is a bit too psychedelic for this type of feeling, you know? But the song worked here. You recognise it, but he's using alien language. And I just like the look of it all. Like these kids getting lost in space. It's the same but different than us as children getting lost in West Cork.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because we can follow the science and to get home, but like this is Star Wars Galaxy. It's not a small place.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And I really hope of this show, I think that there'll be a missed opportunity to not introduce Hondo Ohnaka, who is a character from those animation shows, and I think he's a space pirate.
Yeah.
So he would fit perfectly within this world that seems to be created of a Goonies-esque space adventure.
Yeah, especially with the name mention of pirates.
Yeah.
Like, so it seems to be like pirates are going to be a recurring foe to these kids.
Or they're always on the run from them or something, yeah.
And Jude Law as a reluctant scoundrel helping out these kids, but obviously through some form of his own self-gain.
I got it under the impression that he's a former Jedi, and it's his own kind of self. He's holding himself to his own moral standard, like, or of like that he can't let them go without help. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think so. I think he's not a Jedi. I think he is a Force user who was never given the opportunity to.
Okay.
I think he.
I suppose he is quite older, and this is kind of between episodes. Is it between episodes 3 and 4?
No, it's post episode 6. The Empire is destroyed.
Okay, so between 6 and 7 then.
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder then, because Jude Law, he's obviously in his 50s.
Yeah.
There's 17 years between episodes 3 and 4, and then maybe 5 years. So you're talking about 23 years. So he would have been Obi-Wan's age.
Yeah, but I have a feeling that for whatever reason has lived his entire life avoiding it or never being spotted.
Yeah, I'd say probably the second. Yeah, more so that like the Jedi can't be everywhere.
Yeah.
So they just missed out on some kids.
Yeah, and he's just used his... And I don't think he's a major Force user. Like, there's this one shot in the previous trailer where he just float the keys gently to the jail cell. I think it's just a matter of those simple things that he can do.
Yeah, like the kid in episode 8 with the broom.
Yeah.
Like just little touches of force.
Just to make his career as a scoundrel and a thief more of an advantage to him.
Yeah,
but he's not going to be able to lift a ship or anything like that.
Yeah, that's actually
he's not able to master his abilities as a Force user because he's never been trained by the Jedi.
That would be more interesting, I think, to have like a scoundrel like Han Solo, but with some capability of using the Force. I think that's interesting.
And I just don't think a survivor from Order 66 would go a route that's not what Obi-Wan went, or was it Kaelin or Baylan Skull in Ahsoka?
Baylan Skull.
Baylan Skull. Like, you either go the Obi-Wan route and hide, or you go the dark side route and like Baylan Skull. I just can't see you don't take this middle route that Jude Law's character seems to take. So, yeah, interesting. We're looking forward to it. Can't wait. Maybe we'll do an episode on it. But, enough of that, David. What are we here to talk about?
We're here to talk about the finale to the Venom trilogy. I can't believe that I'm saying that we got a Venom trilogy.
Before Blade?
Before Blade. I think all of this Venom has lived and died between Blade announcements. We're going to talk about Venom: The Last Dance, which just came out. It was, I think, 2 weeks ago, so we're a little bit late because of our Halloween special. But
what do you want to talk about?
So you didn't particularly want to do this episode. I just thought that it's a good like wrap up. I think that the Sonyverse, right? When you think about the Sonyverse, you think Venom, Morbius, Madam Web, soon to be Kraven the Hunter, and Venom. And I think that Venom has been just a not a shining light in this Sony universe, but just a fun time. A genuinely interesting trilogy of movies. Like, I genuinely didn't expect this to get 2 films, let alone 3. I thought that first film, when it came out, I was like, okay, yeah, they'll tease something here at the end, and then it'll flop, and we won't get anything, and it'll be one of those kind of broken promises.
Like Madam Web and Morbius.
Yeah. It's like, I think just Sony as a company, when it comes to the Spider-Man characters, is so interesting that they will go from these massive flops like Madam Web and Morbius, but then they'll produce something spectacular like the Into the Spider-Verse films, and that they can have these huge swings of the pendulum. Like, it's either fantastic or one of the worst things that people have seen.
Yeah.
And then Venom seems to land just kind of in the middle. I think it's more on the positive end for me than on the negative end.
Well, I would agree, yeah.
I think that it's just an interesting thing to do, because I very much don't like villain origin stories or turning every villain into an anti-hero.
Yeah.
I just
think
think
like fully on just making Morbius the living vampire a good guy.
Yeah.
And same with Venom, same with what appears to be Kraven. Like, he can do bad things, but only to bad people.
Yeah. I just don't like that.
The fact that Kraven is going to be... They said that Kraven is not a hunter of animals.
Mm-hmm.
He cares.
He's respectful
he's
of
respectful
animals,
and cares for them and preserves wildlife.
Mm-hmm.
So it might humanely kill an animal.
Yeah, put it out of its misery or something like that.
Yeah.
But not,
So that's
for
so that's not Kraven.
No, like his character he's going for the hunt. You know, he wants to be the predator.
Yeah.
You know,
and so like pretty much these movies that Sony's are giving us, they're not the villains that the mass media of audience wants, like we did get in the Spider-Man Insomniac games. Like when we see Kraven there, that's Kraven.
Yeah.
When we see Venom there, that's Venom. Now, having said that, I do like this interpretation of Venom with Tom Hardy. Because we're getting a Venom movie. I don't want him to be a villain because I want to like him as the main protagonist. I wouldn't want to follow a story with the Venom we got in the Insomniac game as the lead character. Do you know what I mean? You can't. The closest they've ever come to making a villain origin story leading his own movie is the Joker, and he's still a bad guy.
Yeah.
And so I don't really have an issue with it. I do think now we've come to a point where, come on, what are we doing? Like, let's just stop. Let's not stop with doing villain standalone movies. Let's stop with all these typical traditional hero stuff. Like, who would have thunk that in 2019 we got an Agatha solo TV show? Who the hell is Agatha?
Oh, sorry. I was like, we didn't get that in 2019. So, I know what you mean. In 2019, if we were looking forward, and I said, oh yeah, we're actually got an Agatha TV show.
Yeah.
Agatha? What are you talking about? Who's Agatha?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's...
And I'm saying that because we got WandaVision in 2021.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I think that when it comes to the studios, they really do at some point just they look around, they go, okay, who do we have? They
did that with this other character that Donald Glover might be doing. I probably won't now. Smooth Jazzler or something like that.
I've never heard of that. Okay.
He's like he plays a jazz player, and he can manipulate the crowd and I don't know, hallucinate them, and he can steal from them.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a very niche character.
I've never heard of that character like that.
Have you heard of El Muerto?
I've only heard of El Muerto because they announced that they were doing an El Muerto movie, and I said, okay, that's where I draw the line. I'm not seeing that. A Spider-Man villain from one comic book issue? No, I'm not seeing that. That's ridiculous. And then it got cancelled. So, or would they get cancelled, or did the guy just drop out?
Both.
Okay, brilliant, excellent. I'm glad I don't have to see that. But it does seem like Sony Pictures are just kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of like, okay, we have to keep these rights somehow, and we can't use Spider-Man because Spider-Man is in the MCU right now. It's like, right, well, we'll do the best with what we have. And I think that it's generally, it's when it comes to the other films like Morbius and Madam Web and possibly Kraven the Hunter, it's not good. It's not a great idea. With these Venom movies, they're absolutely fine. I think that the right way to go about it would be to focus just on Miles and even do, the animated films, or even just do live action ones and just have Miles be the Spider-Man of these universes and have...
I don't know if they'd let 2 live action ones on the go.
They'd have to work it out, definitely. But I think that I would rather see a live action Miles face off against these villains as opposed to having them be the quote unquote heroes of their story. When, like, realistically, like, do you want to see a vampire of Morbius, like Morbius the vampire? Do you want to see him being the good guy? Not really. I'd rather just see Spider-Man go up against a vampire. I think that it's hard to watch these Venom movies and not have in any instance him face off against Spider-Man. The closest we got was at the end, the end of the second film, where we got a post-credit scene where he sees him on a TV.
When the MCU rejected him.
I think that it's funny because at the end of that movie, it very much seemed like whoever the producer was, probably Amy Pascal, was like, okay, we're going to get Venom and Spider-Man together and we're going to shove them into the MCU and they're not going to have any choice in the matter. And it's like, here he is.
Because in their movies, they get to decide what goes.
Yeah, they just... end of story. So... Venom is over in the MCU, and it's like, oh my god, this is crazy, because we're coming into kind of that No Way Home, multiversal story. All these
former villains played by these actors coming back to play them, and then we'll throw Venom in the mix as well.
And it absolutely fit. It made complete sense. It was the right, I think, from their perspective, it was the right thing to do to put him in there. And then it's like, okay, then going forward, will the Venom movies take place within the MCU? And it's like, okay, now Sony are making MCU films, which I think Kevin Feige probably said no, and said at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, see you later, and tossed him out, and he's relegated to just post-credit scenes.
Yeah.
which is where we kind of pick up in this film. I know that we've been talking about Sony Pictures, but
they reshot it.
They reshot it to fit like
their version. Like he just disappeared at the post credits of No Way Home. In this, he's sitting at the bar having a different set of lines with different dialogue with the same bartender, but it's a different scene. He says, well, in the post-credit scene of No Way Home, he's saying, well, maybe I'll just go give this Spider-Man a visit and see what happens. And in the Venom movie, where this starts off, he's, well, yeah, aliens, because he talks like that. Tom Hardy talks like that in all these movies. You know, he does.
Yeah, you're right.
And he's talking about the rings and the purple alien, and then a portal of sort opens up and thrusts him back through his own world, where he's in the same bar with the same bartender with just a different hairdo. Well, then, obviously, the audience is going to know, well, different universe, because his hair is different. But I don't know why they reshot that.
Maybe they're limited to what they can reference. They might not be able to actually reference Spider-Man.
No. They reshot it. Like, well,
Sony might not be able to reference Spider-Man in their own movies.
But then they didn't need to start off with that. They can just open
with him coming to the...
Yeah, or I don't know. I'm giving this too much credit. I didn't really like this movie.
Did you not? No. Okay. Well, I'm glad we got 20 minutes in before we decided that. So, okay, why not?
Because what story is it? It's not a good story. Eddie's just roaming about in the desert and getting hitchhiked in a van, and then he goes to Vegas for some reason, and then he just gets captured because the script needed him to get captured, and then he's in the base, and then, oh look, we're in the third act. And the third act was good. But
what else? Yeah, that's fair. I absolutely listen.
It's not a good movie.
I think it's a fine movie. I think it's in line with the other two films. I think that when I go into these films, I'm definitely much looking for the relationship between Venom and Eddie, rather than any kind of big plot.
Yeah. Well, okay. Aspects. Well, first of all, let me get this off my chest. I watched the first Venom movie. I liked it. It was a first of its own kind. It was one of the first anti-hero movies. And what they did with Venom in a relationship with Eddie Brock, it was good. It was good. And the movie was fine. Like, the villain was weak, but the movie was fine. It was funny. And then the funniness continued on with Eddie and Venom. Even more so, making it so that they're like an angry, bickering married couple. Yeah. Rather than whatever they tried to make it be, like a team up. Like, they went from a team up to an angry couple to then the best friends in this third movie. Yeah. And the second one, you know, great. We have Carnage. We have a noticeable villain that normally Spider-Man fights. But great. Well, let's have Venom fight him, because he does fight him in the comics alongside with Spider-Man.
It would be they would team up because Carnage is that big of a threat.
Yeah. And so that's fine. And then, but the plot really wasn't that strong. Like, I haven't watched the second Venom movie. Let There Be Carnage. I haven't watched it at all. Like.
Since it came out.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's already draining me talking about this. I'm giving it too much credit. But this movie, it's just nothing. There's no good plot about it. It's just Eddie roaming about. Like, where is he even going? Oh yeah, he said he's going to Mexico.
He said he's going to New York. That was the plan. They were going to see the Statue of Liberty.
Right.
I think that you're right. No, I think that you are right in terms of, like, there's not much of a plot here. I think that there's a lot of things.
Things happen, David. Things happen.
There's a lot of situations where things happen because the plot needed it to. Like, specifically, they make it a point that there's these monsters from space that come in, and they're always looking for a MacGuffin. They're looking for the Codex to free the king of the symbiotes. Yeah. And Venom and Eddie have it together. But the monsters can only see them, can only see the Codex when Venom is in his Venom form.
But he said true form.
True form, so when he's fully Venomed out.
But would his true form not be him as goo? I suppose it's just whatever the script wants it to be, right?
No, I think that, no, because the symbiote is, like, it would have a body. It would attach itself to something. Okay. So the goo wouldn't be its true form. It would always be attached to something. If it was attached to a frog, when it's Venom frog, right, that's its true form. Okay. So, all right. But the plot has it that this monster can only see this Codex when it's in that true form. Yeah. So then Venom says, okay, I can't be in Venom form now because it can only see me then. Until then, when they get to Vegas and they're like, okay, let's do a dance number.
Yeah.
And then immediately the monster comes in. It's like, why would you do that? Like, I think that there are a lot of conveniences where, okay, well, we need the monster to get them in Vegas.
No, we need the military to get them in Vegas.
Yeah.
And the monster. Right, did the monster come in that
The monster
scene?
came, but the solution to the monster is always just come out of the Venom form and then it goes away.
Yeah.
So there's not really too much threat. It comes in,
Yeah.
and then immediately like goes away, and then the military come in. So realistically, I think that maybe they did that scene, and then someone was like, well, actually, if it's in the Venom form, the monster has to see it. So the monster comes in, breaks the window, and then the military come in. So realistically, there was no need for the monster to come in. It didn't serve much of a plot other than breaking the window to get the military in.
Do you know what was no need? Mrs. Chen.
Yeah.
Why
No,
was- why
there was
was-
no need for...
why was she there?
I think it was like a fun dance number. I think it was a bit of levity to it.
Bring back Michelle Williams.
Yeah, I missed Michelle Williams actually throughout. I liked her in the first two films.
She didn't even get a mention.
Like, I thought that they were mentioning her at the end. I thought that they were referencing her when he
No,
was like,
David,
I would
they're
have
talking about the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they're... Yeah.
See, the destination of their journey. Do you know the doctor who was with Michelle Williams in the first two Venom movies? Dr. Dan, I think.
Yes.
Venom
yeah.
always
Oh, yeah,
hated
Dr.
him.
Dan.
Yeah. That actor was the stand-in of the man in the dark room in the suit that Chiwetel Ejiofor was speaking to.
Okay. That was him.
That was the actor.
Okay. Why?
Because they needed
someone.
They needed a mysterious dark figure in a room obscuring the face.
And they forgot that they already had him. in
No,
the two other movies.
they're teasing.
I don't think they're teasing. I don't know.
No, they're teasing. No, they're gonna continue with this
I
franchise.
hate when they tease. I hate when they tease something.
Oh,
like
like what they did with Null.
yeah, what they did with Null, and then like similar to like in the Amazing Spider-Man 2, they had that dark figure that was like forming the Sinister Six, but they never a continuation on that. I just hate like teasing something like that.
Should we do a bonus episode of franchises teasing shared cinematic universe that just went nowhere?
Yeah, that would be actually fun.
Like there's a few off the top of my head. Like I'm sure with a bit of research we can do something.
yeah, failed cinematic universe.
There you go.
There you go. Stay tuned for that.
The only interesting thing about Null is that Andy Serkis voiced him.
Yeah.
Didn't sit in a green screen or in a motion capture suit. Wasn't on set. He literally voiced him. They got the director of the second movie to voice this character, and he is not gonna. He's not coming back. Not only is Andy Serkis not going to come back, I doubt this depiction of Null's going to return.
No, I think that maybe this. Well.
This failed attempt?
No, I think I was going to say this universe we won't see again, but then we do have Craven to come out, and I'm that.
Well, let me ask you this, David. Do you think Craven is set in the same world as...
I don't know.
We're only saying that is because it comes from the same studio. That's like saying Jurassic World takes place in the same universe as the Fast franchise.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. I know what you mean.
Just because they're two noticeable IPs, even though they're only single standalone
well,
movies.
I think that's a bad... Well, I understand your...
I just said I couldn't pull up any ideas from my head.
When it's two IPs within the same genre, two comic book movies, and they're two villains that have the same hero.
Yeah.
I think that it's just strange for them not to have them all take place within the one universe, the one world.
Okay.
It's like if all of a sudden, it's like if Marvel Studios were literally making Iron Man and Thor, and then Captain America takes place in a different world, and it's irrelevant like to any of the other stuff going forward, and Marvel Studios continue to make Captain America movies separate to the MCU.
Well, we didn't think that when we were getting the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies and Chris Evans Fantastic Four movies and the original X-Men movies. We weren't thinking that.
Yeah, but like
that's the era. The era. Apparently, I've been saying that wrong. Era. That's
era, yeah.
Okay, well, that's what we were living in compared to now. We're in
a shared cinematic universe. Yeah. So it's weird to have Sony make villain movies about Spider-Man villains and not all of them take place within the same world. That's strange. So that's why we're assuming that Craven is taking place within the same universe as Venom.
At this rate, I don't want it to. I just want Craven to be a good movie.
I want it to just be enjoyable. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, with this Venom film, I enjoyed it based on certain aspects. I enjoyed Eddie and Venom's relationship.
So do I. Man, I haven't even talked about that yet, but we will.
I enjoyed Rhys Ifans and his family. I liked them and that little road trip. I actually quite enjoyed the scenes in the minivan.
Is it not Rhys Ifans?
Yeah, well, whatever. You know, the lizard. That's not the lizard.
It's not the lizard.
Not the lizard.
But you show him in the trailer and it's going to get people talking.
Yeah, of course. As well as Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah, it's like,
you know?
he's a guy who played that other guy in that other movie that's loosely connected to this overall shit.
You bank on people recognizing going, oh my god, and then speculation and theories. And I enjoyed those scenes, especially the when they were singing Major Tom.
I did like that. And you know,
that ties it into Skeleton Crew. Major Tom. Because I made the mistake.
Yeah, I like that. The teenage girl
didn't want to do it,
but she still did it, and then she smiles later on doing it. Like, I think that was nice. I think maybe it would have been nice if Eddie continued to sing along in that, but he was just always reluctant. But Venom
I would have liked if he had given into it a little bit, and he had given in the last verse or something.
Instead of just being sour about it all the way through. But I did like it. I like the Rhys Ifans. I liked him in this movie. I like him as an actor, and I liked his inclusion here.
Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed the third act. I do have problems with it. Specifically,
that all the symbiotes attach and form relationships with the first human they made contact with, which is something, as explained in the first movie, so rare that if you form a relationship, contact with human and symbiote, more than likely it will kill them both, or will kill the human at least.
Yeah, but I think that
they needed a script that happened, so that's why why it happened here.
I think that is a valid complaint. That is a valid point that wasn't addressed, or it was addressed in the first film that wasn't addressed in this. But I think that it was a situation where the symbiotes would attach themselves to the humans, they would deal with this threat, and then probably leave them. Like don't know how long the symbiotes and the humans could be attached together. Like, don't forget, Venom was going around the whole second movie attaching himself to people for maybe an hour or two at a time.
I'll give you that.
So
but needed a line of dialogue.
Yeah,
a simple line of dialogue.
Yeah, to explain that. Yeah,
who was the symbiote? I don't even know. The doctor who was turning a good, but not Juno Temple, the other one.
I don't know. So she was the
standout of all the colourful symbiotes, getting the most screen time. Mm-hmm. It would have just been great if that symbiote would have said quickly before they kill the hosts.
Yes, exactly. That's all it would have taken.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. That would have been
would have fixed it. That major complaint that has been sitting in my head would have vanished.
Yeah, I really liked her that symbiote.
Yeah,
and I think that based on that character, I think that issue of would it kill the host, I think that she would have stayed with it. I think it was disappointing that Scream was only in it for 2 seconds.
Was that Juno Temple?
Juno Temple's one.
Yeah. You see, Dave, they're teasing it.
I know, but just show us. That's what we're here for. We're here to see all the symbiotes together and fighting. I liked how colourful they were. I actually liked that they were able to be distinguished easily between each of them.
Like one was brown, one could more merge into another one. Like it was good, and they all had their unique abilities, like spears or swords or hammers,
fighting styles,
or electricity, or
What I didn't like about all that though,
they all died,
is how they all died. How they were using them as cannon fodder,
and they all died so easily. As well.
Easily, it was literally like if the monster takes a bite out of you, you're dead.
Oh yeah,
gone.
It's like that machine where you put paper in and shreds you. Shredder. That's it.
Yeah.
Took me a second. Those machines.
I was thinking like a wood chipper, like in Dead Rise.
And it was good to see that it was doing it to humans. But when it did it to Toxin,
I was raging because Stephen Graham's so underused. I really liked him in the other films.
Yeah.
And then when
you mean the other one film?
Was he not in the first film?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I enjoyed him in the other film.
I'll give it to them for bringing them back.
I thought they weren't.
I knew they were because I saw the trailer.
Ah, okay. I actually didn't watch it.
So I appreciate that. Obviously, he didn't have his goatee because he's probably filming another movie and says, we only have Stephen Graham on for like a few days.
That's what it seemed like. It seemed because they had initially the point where they mentioned that he was dead, that the character had died. I'm like, oh, okay, so they're not bringing him back. They teased him at the end of the thing and now he's not back. And I was like, oh, right, okay, no, he is here. But then they killed him off. He had a couple of scenes in that room and then killed him off.
Yeah.
And it seemed like, okay, we had Stephen Graham for 2 days on set. Let's do all of his scenes together and then kill off the characters as quick as possible. Because he's the first one, like he breaks out of that cell.
Venom, go!
Holds the thing, holds the monster, and then immediately dies. I'm like, they killed him off that quickly? That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. aside from Venom, he was my favourite one. Not because he was played by Stephen Graham, not because he had a standout look that's not very attractive, you know.
He was like interesting. He was like cloudy and
the green colour. It was like lime
greenish. Yeah,
it's not a very attractive colour for a cool symbiote, you know, like a strong pink purple one with the Scream hair, or the Venom is obviously a good look. Carnage is a good look for a villain. Toxin, you know, is he supposed to be like a villain or something? Because he seemed to be a bit of a philosopher here in this one, who seems to be all knowing.
He was there to give exposition.
Yeah, exposition. Toxin, toxin exposition. I liked that he was the only one that didn't have legs.
Yeah, he was like a cloud almost.
He had like tentacles, or he's like an octopus sort of lower half of a body. And there's something else about Toxin here that I liked when he was doing his exposition dump. It was the music they were playing, the overtone music that they were playing. It was like, it felt like cosmic when he was talking about the story of Null and the story that he's sending these monsters to go after the Codex that will free him, and to prevent it, one of the two that holds the key to the Codex has to die. So, as teased, between Venom and Eddie, one has to die. And I just like the use of Toxin there, and I like that this whole time, and I'm giving this too much credit because I just like Stephen Graham. He was able to burst out of that prison, that little room, but he chose to stay there the whole time. So
yeah, he never escaped before.
Yeah,
there's no need to.
Yeah, but he could if he wanted to. So I just like that, and I like how the third act came up, and well, he's just gonna shoot Eddie. And we're not dilly-dally.
It was so quick. It was Chiwetel Ejiofor took over the lab.
Yeah.
And was like, "You kill one of my people."
Yeah.
And then shot him.
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, we're in the third act."
We're not allocating some dialogue here to add some tension and add some begging and some explanation. No, just pull him out of the room and shoot him. Great, cheap, financially. But I like how,
luckily there was no wasting time either. That Venom was already there. Like
there's no like screen time for the Doctor to rush and free Venom. Like she already went to reach out to touch him, and so that was it. That was great. And then we're in the third act, and it was a fun third act. It was fun.
I thought it was fun. I thought it was a bit of crack. I think that my only complaint with it was just how quickly some of those symbiotes were dispatched of, and we didn't really get to see them shine or anything like that, or stick around or anything like that. I think that my biggest surprise with the third act, I thought that having spent some time with Toxin and how he was given the exposition and stuff like that, was I thought that the way that we're going to go about it was that these monsters were going to be trying to kill or trying to get Venom, and I thought that Toxin would be kind of the leader of the symbiotes, and they also decide to stop Null from being released, that we also need to, kill Venom or Eddie. I thought that it was going to be a situation where it's Venom versus everybody in the film. So what I'm glad was that...
I actually would have preferred that.
Do you think? I liked that the symbiotes had a real brotherhood and they stuck together, and they know that like Null is he is the ultimate bad guy, but they're not going to turn against their own kind.
I would have liked to see some conflict within the symbiotes, but I would like to see them, while conflicted internally, and with little outbursts of hesitation to stick the final blow to Venom or Eddie, but they would still try and target him. That means you take out every other creature that there was and just make this creature not as strong as they had shown it to be throughout the movie, and make it only one, and that it is killable. Because every time it went through the engine of a jet or had its other limbs blown up, it just reformed itself. But hey, chop its head off and that'll do it. I don't know how that works, though.
I think you've got two ways to go about it, right? You either have one thing that seems to be unkillable, or you have loads of them that are easily dispatched, and you have just kind of an army of things that you can kill.
But you do have then a load of them at the end that Venom takes on.
They do, yeah, eventually. But when you say a load of them, there's like 4 or 5. It's not like a full army of just nameless things that they are killing. I think that it's a tough line to walk, where do you make this thing unkillable and have one? Yeah. And I think maybe if they had just stuck with the one.
Well, then maybe if they only stuck with the one, and that while these symbiotes, while struggling with their conflict that they're going to kill Venom, probably well-known, or no, He's supposed to be a loser on his world.
He
He's supposed to be looked down upon. If anything, this should be showing him some pity.
And also,
have
they been fighting these things in the previous war? And if so, how did they kill them before?
I don't know.
If they're unkillable.
I don't know.
That's not for us to figure out.
Don't give it too much credit, man.
Yeah.
But if if Venom is a loser, then yeah, these symbiotes shouldn't be talking about Venom like he's one of their noble brothers in arms. He should be a loser. Mm-hmm. Even though he's probably larger than the most of them. Mm-hmm. So I think
bit of inconsistency there between
them all try to take out Venom while seeming a bit remorseful about it, while adamant that it's the only way that has to be done. Mm-hmm. And then while they're doing that, have this creature come in and out of the midst of this battle while fighting off the military and fighting off the symbiotes, because the symbiotes is just killing everything. So that would assist Venom in not struggling so much to fight off these 7, 8, 9 symbiotes. That, because 9 against 1, obviously he's gonna get. So that with the help of this creature acting on its own terms just to get to Venom.
You could absolutely have maybe just Venom versus the symbiotes, and then have those monsters, if you wanted to have the kind of nameless army, have them fight the human army, but they are killable, and have the kind of 2 separate battles going on. If you want to do that, but that's,
I wanted this movie to be better than it was.
Yeah.
I didn't want Toxin to die so easily. I didn't need this backstory with Temple's character that her brother gets struck by lightning.
No, she got
struck by lightning, and because she was holding on to him, he died. And because she remembers, I want to be a scientist. Okay, you want a career in a vaguely established, broad...
He wanted to work in Area 51.
That's like, I want to be a businessman. Okay, but what do you want to be?
Yeah.
It's like, I want to be a... It's like, that's like saying, I want to be rich. Okay, but doing what?
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter, I'm just going to be rich. So then the sibling, she survives and makes a career of her own to be a scientist, and that's her arc. And her arc is that she saved the doctor from being blown up. Not electrocuted, blown up. Oh, lightning's on her power now. So she... Okay.
Listen, Brian, you're giving it too much credit, okay?
I'm giving it too much credit, and I'm also shitting on it.
Don't forget that this is from the same studio that had Madam Web, where the bad guy had to protect his legacy, but we never found out what that legacy was.
Enough of this movie. I do want to talk a little bit quickly on just the relationship between Venom and Eddie, because if there's anything consistent that is just good about this franchise, it's them together.
And I like the way you put it, that at the beginning it's like a reluctant relationship, and then
a reluctant team up, a married, bickering, angry couple, to then best friends.
Yeah. And to the point where, there's a point in this film where, they're using sound to kind of separate them, and Eddie is holding on to Venom to, grab him so he doesn't leave his body, and they're trying to get back together, and they genuinely, they work together, and they enjoy being together, and they're happy being together. There's no animosity, there's no threat of leaving each other.
Yeah, I really love the relationship, not concept-wise, that you as a person has this parasite attached to you, living with you, this thing, this smile. You know what I mean? It's all internal to you. Obviously, it's a visual when it comes out, everyone can see it.
But it has its own thoughts and feelings and opinions and desires.
It's not menacing towards you. And
if anything, it helps you. It heals them. And
I like how vulnerable it is when it's separate from you. When Venom is in Eddie, he does what he's told. Because he's...
There are certain rules that he has to live by.
But when Venom is just a goo, Eddie's in charge. Eddie's of the advantage, So
it's interesting, because when Venom attaches itself to Eddie, it becomes the full Venom, big monster. But by itself, it's completely powerless. It's completely useless.
Yeah, and it's really it's a real interesting dynamic as a result.
Symbiotic.
Oh, David,
you got it.
Man,
symbiotic.
That's cool. If only.
No, I liked it, and I thought, I don't know about you, I thought the ending where Eddie is walking after Venom has sacrificed himself, And that was the most fucking clear example of foreshadowing I've ever seen, where when they come in and they're destroying all the stuff in Area 51 with the acid,
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, okay, so I know that's the finale. That's what we're building to. But when Eddie's walking through the streets of New York and they're playing that song, and they're really trying to,
make it all wholesome and heartwarming.
Yeah, like kind of maybe they saw the ending of Deadpool Wolverine where they had the X-Men, over the credits.
Yeah.
And they really wanted you to remember how good the Venom trilogy was. Remember how good this was.
Where we only see scenes from the previous movies,
Yeah,
including
there's
the one we just watched. They don't shoot scenes that happened off screen to really showcase these guys had some memories.
Yeah, no,
none of that.
It has to be
what we've seen,
because
anything it's cheaper, Dave. It's financially cheaper.
Yeah, I thought that was a little.
Hate when movies do that.
I thought it was so do I hate when they have photos of on the mantelpiece and it's clearly you did that day.
Yeah, like memories only exist from what you've shown us.
Yeah, these characters do not exist beyond when the movie starts and when the movie ends.
Yeah,
and I think that was the case with that montage. I think that I would have liked to just see a little bit, include Michelle Williams in that. She wasn't to be seen at all. Was she?
Cheaper.
I know, but just spend a little bit. Come on. You're Sony. You have the money.
Swap out Mrs. Chen and maybe a few other things as well and just throw in Michelle Williams, yeah. So Venom dies. And
interesting.
And do you know what the best part I like about that? It's the decision they made. So they're sitting in the crashed helicopter. Dave, I'm telling you, I think it cut back between Eddie to Venom, Eddie to Venom, Eddie to Venom, 3 times, where none of them were talking.
Yeah,
they're just looking at each other.
They know
internally
what has to come with this.
They were both going to go themselves, and
that's how much they each love each other. Or they, that
they at least understand each other.
Yeah, that they would each sacrifice themselves for the other.
Yeah,
and it's only the fact that Venom is able to. He has the powers.
Yeah, he has the ability to shoot Eddie out of him. And he take on now. I do think Eddie he doesn't really have a host. Yeah, he has all these creatures, but I feel like if I make this as a inconsistency complaint that Venom is not just a bunch of goo without Eddie inside him, that you would defend. Well, it's because all these creatures are.
That's what I would. Yeah, because he was over multiple of them.
But he was rejecting them as well as hosts. He was just holding on to them.
They're rejecting.
Yeah,
Venom.
So you can defend it. I'll shit on it.
Yeah.
I like how Venom's go to touch Eddie one last time as a goodbye, but he's not. He's covering him with the door. But he'll not defend shit about Joe for. No, he doesn't
care about him.
He'll help him stand up to turn on the acid by having him look in the eye. Okay, you can sit there and have acid pour all over you. Look after yourself there, and he blows himself up because he can't just sit there and have acid fall on the whole time. What a neglectful piece of shit.
Who, Venom? Yeah. What do you mean? He only cares about Eddie. He doesn't care about this other guy. This other guy shot Eddie.
This other guy was having a bit of a redemption arc.
Venom doesn't see that. He just sees that guy came in and shot Eddie. Point blank. Why would he give a shit about him?
They were doing a bit of a redemption arc.
Yeah, maybe, but the Venom doesn't see that. The movie sees that. We see that, but Venom doesn't. To Venom, this guy came in, shot his friend point blank, and that was it.
You're giving it too much credit.
No, I think that Venom has no reason to protect that guy.
Well, then the filmmaking should have continued on to him to be a bit of a more of an asshole and not be more of a trusted ally, because Eddie gives him a nod and they're the best friends there.
Okay.
he gives him a nod when he's on the bike to say we gotta defeat these things. And I don't care that they're aliens versus humans, that at the end of the day, aliens versus humans, no matter what ill will, trust and issues you have with one another. No. They were starting a bit of a redemption arc, and I just thought, just let him run away. Don't let him sit there and get filled with acid. Just have him run off. I don't want him to, I don't care anyway. I don't care. But
do you think we'll see Venom again?
No.
In even the MCU? Because obviously he left a little bit of himself at the end of No Way Home. Do you think that was as much of a tease as we'll get in terms of Venom in the MCU with Tom Holland?
I think Spider-Man will just have to leave the MCU for that to happen. Spider-Man will have to do the thing I thought he was going to do at the end of No Way Home.
Okay.
The post-credit scene, the second one, where your man from Ted Lasso runs out of the cave, I don't know why, but there was a cockroach there. That cockroach was black, and that
had
was
venom,
and that was from the bar that shipwrecked at Edo 4 took. Mm-hmm. So, okay. Don't know what you're going to do with that.
I think they like to just have an option. Like to have it,
options are good.
Yeah.
David.
Like, I mean, if we're going to get, Secret Wars or all these other films, Doomsday, and we're going to be pulling in from the multiverse, then I think it would be fair to have Tom Hardy's Venom in there.
He said he's done.
He said he's done unless he can fight Spider-Man. He said that.
Sure.
So I think that everyone says they're done.
Right.
Until there's a boatload of money coming towards you.
Okay.
Did we think that Wesley Snipes was going to come back as Blade?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I didn't. I think that a lot of people say they're done.
Okay.
Hugh Jackman said he was done.
Okay, but he got divorced.
Yeah, and they offered him a boatload of money.
Okay.
I think everyone says they're done until there's a lot of money involved.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Okay. I'm not trying to argue. I just think.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's. I don't think that you can close the door on anyone.
Okay.
Because
except Madam Web.
You're really trying to close the door on Madam Web. You're shoving it. Someone's got their foot in the way, and they're like, "No," and you're like, "Please close the door."
We can close the door. Dakota Johnson is shutting the door.
Yeah.
All right.
And Sony's like, "No."
So where's Christian Grey? Who wasn't that bad.
I think, we thought we were going to be closing the door on Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans.
No.
You didn't think so? I thought Chris Evans was done, and then to see him in Deadpool and Wolverine as Johnny Storm was a nice little added bonus. I didn't think we were going to see Robert Downey Jr., let alone have him come back as Doctor Doom.
No, I knew he was going to come back. I didn't know what. I didn't know what capacity. Didn't know how. Didn't know if it's a different character or whatever. No, he's coming back. But you know he's going to come back.
Yeah.
No.
So I think it would be foolish of us to fully close the door on any character.
Right.
Can I say one thing I thought was very funny?
What did you think was
I thought
funny?
some of the editing in this was really funny. Specifically, some of the flashbacks. When they're talking about the Codex, and they said, Venom explained how the Codex was coming. He's like, okay, and Eddie's like, okay, so we'll just make sure not to die. And he goes, well, actually, and then it cuts right back to the first film of the blade going through his shirt, and it was like a real record scratch, let's pull a stop here, and we'll just have a look back and see what happened. And then he's like, fuck,
you know. The reason that joke worked on me is because I did forget.
So did I. Yeah, absolutely. But listen, I don't retain anything from these movies. Yeah. As soon as we press stop recording, I forget all this. And I'm probably not going to go back to these.
One thing I do want to say I liked, or at least I loved throughout this movie, the whole 3 movies. I never think that it's Tom Hardy voicing Venom.
Never once. I always forget that. Yeah.
I always forget it. And I don't even think about who is the actor voicing Venom.
Yeah.
I don't even think that either.
It's just like Venom exists.
Venom exists as an actor, and it's Venom and Tom Hardy, and Tom Hardy's playing Eddie Brock, but Venom is still playing Venom.
Yeah.
Do you know how... I don't know if this is a fair comparison or a right comparison, but did you ever see Norbit?
Yeah.
I was so sad to hear that the actress that played Rasputa was not an actual woman that Eddie Murphy played.
I want to see more of her. Where is she? Oh, no.
I understand that Eddie Murphy played Mr. Wong, the old Chinese man.
Yeah,
but
that's one I want to go back to. Actually, no.
Rasputa was such a scene stealer, a real commander of the audience, and I want to know who the actress was, and it was Eddie Murphy. I want to see more of Rasputa. It's like I like seeing Melissa McCarthy, or I like seeing Jennifer Lawrence. Like, who are these actresses, and where's the actress who played Rasputa? So that's what I think about Eddie and Venom, and who voices Venom.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a real praise I give it to. Like the fact that it's Tom Hardy as well.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty good. I think that's one of the best things about this.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. And their relationship is believable. When you say their relationship is believable and it's just him playing off himself.
Yeah.
Like that's
great. That's very good. Yeah. That's the best thing about this movie.
Yeah.
And we'll never have to talk about it again.
Have you got a recommendation before we let these people go?
I do.
What do you got?
I went to see this little Irish movie called Kathleen Is Here.
Okay. Yeah, I saw you rate this, but I haven't looked up anything about this.
Alright, so think Saltburn, but lighter.
Okay.
It's about a girl who grew up in the foster system, is given a home I'll not explain why. I think this is a good movie to go to when someone suffers from an identity crisis and she starts to form a bit of a relationship with her neighbour that eventually turns to be an unhealthy obsessive relationship.
Yeah.
And when I say Saltburn, it is that, but it's light.
Okay.
So there's no like killing, or there's no like foul play, or there's no strategic planning to maneuver an entire wealthy family out of their mansion.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing like that. It's very small, simple scale, and the character of Kathleen is beautifully played by Hazel Dupe, and I'm gonna pay attention to her a little bit more and more of her stuff because she was really good in this, and I really liked the movie. And man, you have to watch it because I don't want to talk about it to you. But yeah, Kathleen is here. I think it was originally a short film called Kathleen Was Here, and same actress, and even another actress who played Kathleen's mother, same actress in the same movie. And it was really good. Yeah, little Irish movie, Kathleen Is Here.
Nice.
Should be watched.
Cool.
What about you?
I'm gonna
see that, David? I asked you.
I appreciate it. I'm going to recommend What We Do in the Shadows. The new season has come out.
Yeah.
It's not fully out. It's releasing obviously weekly.
Yeah.
It's the last season. So we're saying our goodbyes. But it's, if you haven't seen it as a show, it's a fantastically funny show. I think the first 5 seasons are all on Disney Plus. It's based on a New Zealand movie under the same name, What We Do in the Shadows, and it's hilarious. It's one of the funniest films I've ever seen. And the TV show is better. I think that the TV show is funnier, and I like the characters more, and I am going to be sad to see them go, even though I've only started the show in the last 6 months or so.
I'm so glad you said the show is better, because it is.
Yeah.
The show, and yeah.
A more diverse group of characters, and obviously more time to spend with them.
Well, here's the thing. I've got something to say to make it fair that we have more time spent with the show than with the movie. Well, we'll save that.
Save that for a possible bonus episode.
Well, we'll have to, because if we don't do it, then it's just going to be left unknown. No. Because only our information is only retained on this podcast. Because
we don't exist when we stop recording.
Yeah. So like, if we did a memories podcast episode, we only do it from what we've already spoken about, not what we do in our other spare time.
What spare time? You get spare time? I don't get spare time. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Talking Pictures Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you're subscribed to us on your favourite podcasting app of choice, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, we're available, as well as YouTube. If you have any suggestions for bonus episodes or topics you'd like to hear us talk about, make sure to send them into talkingpicturespodcast1@gmail.com. You can follow us on all our social medias. They're down in the description down below. As well, if you wouldn't mind, could you give us 5 stars on Spotify And as well, if you wouldn't mind giving us 5 stars on your podcasting app of choice. Costs you nothing, gives us everything, helps people find the show, and helps people know that we actually are an enjoyable podcast to listen to. Brian, any final words before we let these people go?
Why does Tom Hardy talk like this in this
Venom 3. Venom 3.